Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate. I put out sewing content every new week, so you may need to consider subscribing if you have not done that yet. So it's absolutely free to do that. And I also want to say thank you to all my subscribers. You guys are the real deal. Thank you so much for liking my videos, for commenting, for sharing them. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I made this lovely crop top with bell sleeves. Guys, it's so easy to make, and as you can see, there is no zip on this dress. And with just 1.5 yards of fabric, you too can make this dress for yourself. And as you can see, I made a very lovely skirt to go with it, but the focus of this video is going to be on the top. So without talking too much, let's get right into it. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark the basic bodice pattern here. So I'm going to be a bit fast because I have a detailed video on this already on my channel. So if you're a beginner, you might need to go back to that video and watch it first so that you understand what I'm doing. So I'll go ahead and mark my bust point, my under bust, even though it's not needed for this particular top, my waist point, and the full length. The full length of my top is 17 inches because it's a crop top. So I'm going to trace out all the lines I have made and begin the drafting of the pattern. So on the neckline, remember this top does not have a zip, and so the neckline needs to be a little bit open so that your head could pass through easily. So I'm going to use 3.5 inches as the width instead of using 3, which is the standard measurement. And for the depth, I'm using 4 inches so that the neckline is going to be free enough. So I'm going to connect those 2 points. I'm going to connect the points together and take note of the fact that the front and the back will have the same neckline. So I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2. I'm going to mark that point, and I'll also add 1/2 inch sewing allowance because I'll be adding a sleeve to this top. So the next thing I need to do is to take my 1 inch shoulder slope. And like I said earlier, if you are a beginner, it's better you watch the video where I explained in details how to draft a basic bodice pattern so that you get to understand what I'm doing here. So to draft my armhole curve, I'm just going to divide by 2 and come in by 1/2 inch, then connect the lines together. Connect the dots together. So the next thing I'm doing here is to mark my round measurements divided by 4. So I'm just trying to label the lines before I continue. The bust line, the under bust, even though it's not necessary, the waist point, and I'll go ahead and mark my measurements divided by 4. Round measurements divided by 4. Once I'm done doing that, I'm going to add 1 inch allowance on this dress. Take note, this is not my sewing allowance. I am adding this 1 inch because the dress has no zip, and so the dress needs to be free and not fitted. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to connect the lines. I'm going to connect all the lines, the points I have made like that. Then I'll go ahead and add my sewing allowance. The 1 inch I added earlier is not the sewing allowance. I will do that now. The 1 inch I'm adding now is the sewing allowance. Please take note and make sure you do yours like that too. So I'll add 1 inch on all the measurements. 1 inch on the chest area, the bust, the waist, and the full length. This is the sewing allowance. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to connect the lines together, and then the remaining space is going to be my hemming allowance. So I'll go ahead and iron my fabric and
get ready to cut out the front and the back piece. So I have 2 pieces of fabric here, folded like this, on fold. The 2 of them are on fold, as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and place my fabric on each other, making sure it doesn't move out of place, and then I would place my dumbbells to hold it in place while I cut. So I'll go ahead and cut out using the pattern I have created. Take note, I'm cutting the front and the back pieces at the same time. So just watch closely, and please take note, I forgot to add 1/2 of an inch at the shoulder area. Always add your allowance so that you don't get so your fabric doesn't become shorter than expected. So once I'm done, I'll take out my dumbbells and cut out the neck area. Take note, the back and the front have the same neckline. So once I'm done cutting, this is what I have. And if you have a fabric that has similar faces, just mark that. But for me, I don't really need that because my fabric is obviously different on the right side. So I'm going to keep these pieces aside and focus on the sleeves now. So I'll take the front piece or any of the pieces and mark the armhole area and create a basic long sleeve pattern. So once I'm done creating my sleeve pattern, I'm going to iron out my fabric so that I can cut out the sleeves for this dress. I also have 2 pieces of folded fabric here, and so I'm going to go ahead and cut out. So on the length of these sleeves, I added 2 inches, 1 inch as extra to my sleeves and 1 inch for hemming because I wanted my sleeve longer a bit. So on the bottom area, I'm going to use 12 inches as the width of my sleeves. Then I'll also add 1 inch as sewing allowance. Then on this area here, I'm going to add 1 inch for stitching allowance. So I'll connect those 2 points together and our sleeve is ready. I'll go ahead and cut out the sleeves following the markings I have made. If you look closely at what I'm doing, you definitely get it right. If you've watched this video to this point, please make sure you give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Turn on your notification bell so that you get notified whenever I post a new video. So we have 2 sleeves ready, and we're just going to make a little adjustment at the bottom area. So at the closed area, I'll go up by 1 inch. You can decide to make yours 1.5 inches. This is to create a kind of V shape at the sleeve area. So I'm going to cut that out. Just going to trace it out like that and cut. And now to join the front and the back pieces together, I'm going to use a bias tape to finish the neck area since I'm not using a lining. So after doing that, I'm going to join the 2 shoulders together and stitch by that 1/2 of an inch that I added to the pattern. So I've done that, and this is what it's looking like. So the next thing I need to do is to attach the sleeves. I'll open my top like this and place the sleeves right side facing right side. Notch the center of the sleeves and attach them to the top. So this is what I have after attaching the 2 sleeves together. I'll turn that to the right side so that you can see. This is what it's looking like. So I'll take it back to the wrong side so that I can close the top. So I'm going to place the top, align the armhole area, align the bottom part of the top and the sleeves before I stitch. So once I do that, and I'm sure that every part is aligned properly. I'm going to make a stitch from that part, that's the beginning of the sleeve area, and close up the top like that. Once I'm done stitching, this is what my top is looking like. It's looking really beautiful, and if you follow these easy steps, you too can make yours. So the last thing I need to do is to tidy the rough edges at the bottom part and on the sleeve area. So this brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video, where I'll be sharing how I made my skirt with hip and butt padding.